win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics.
It's intriguing, and I think from Jake's perspective, I think, he's had a lot of criticism about, he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought someone.
Keeping the golden goose, laying them eggs, looking after it.
Don't take any risks.
Thing is, with Anthony Joshua, he's Olympic gold medalist, and in the UK he's a massive star. He sells out stadiums, 70,000, 90,000.
Huge star.
Huge star.
Joe Rogan and Tyson Fury recently talked about the possibility of Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua and questioned why Joshua would entertain such an idea. They believe Joshua and his team seem more interested in financial gain than true competitive ambition. Fury argues that Joshua should be facing him or Deontay Wilder, since those are genuine heavyweight challenges. And picking Jake Paul makes the whole situation...
Because this is a business at the end of the day. And if I was his management team, I'd say stay away from Fury, stay away from Wilder, and we'll just fight the rest of the people and keep making plenty of money. Why do we need to...
Michael Bisping's view on Jake stepping in with Joshua is built on one straightforward point. Jake has no real downside. Bisping says Jake has put himself in a position where a win earns him unbelievable respect, and even a loss still raises his profile. If Jake somehow managed to defeat Joshua, even by chance, he would instantly gain the credibility critics say he lacks. It would mean he beat a former unified heavyweight champion, something even experienced boxers struggled to accomplish. And if Jake loses, Bisping thinks the outcome still helps him because he tested himself against a world-class heavyweight. To Bisping, this allows Jake to appear bold and ambitious, willing to take risks against someone far beyond his level. Meanwhile, the pressure sits almost entirely on Joshua, because anything short of a dominant win would cause fans to question his status as a top heavyweight.
Out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him, and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon, or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way that he loses.
Rogan also stresses that Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist and one of the most dangerous punchers of this generation. He believes Joshua would walk into the ring determined to deliver a message. Rogan thinks Joshua wouldn't simply try to win, but would aim to make Jake regret calling out true heavyweight champions. For Joshua, it becomes a statement of power rather than just another fight.
God, if he beat Anthony Joshua, good lord. Good lord. I mean, that's a big if, right? I mean, Anthony Joshua,
I do not
Olympic gold medalist, former heavyweight champion of the world. What he did to Francis Ngannou, good lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yeah, I just think it's all about the promotion or whatever. I have no idea what the actual motivation that fight's not competitive at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua's one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch fucking night-night guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great boxer.
Frank Warren approaches the topic more critically. He says the entire discussion appeared suddenly and unexpectedly, and all signs indicate that Jake Paul is the one pushing hardest for it. Warren argues that Jake is tired of being criticized for choosing soft opponents. Each time Jake fights someone smaller, older, or not from boxing, the backlash increases. Warren believes Jake wants a fight that ends that narrative for good, and facing Joshua is the quickest way to do it. He also says promoters never expected such an idea to originate from Jake's side. To many, it looks like a publicity stunt. Still, Warren thinks Jake is determined to show he's willing to take a genuine...
Both. It's not a fight I even thought of. I mean, it's nothing to do with me to start with. I mean, it come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, I think, you know, he's had a lot of criticism about, he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, you know, and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought some. I've seen some of the stuff, you know, that's been said. When's he going to fight someone? Well, he's gone from one extreme to the other. You know, that's what he's doing. So if that fight happens, you've got to take your hat off to him.
He got called out by Andre Ward, AJ. Would you rather see Jake fight AJ, which is obviously, as we know, a mismatch, or Andre Ward, who's been retired for, 4 years?
I'd much rather see AJ fight Tyson.
Oh, please. I dread to think how many
we
times
don't know
you've
if that's
done
going to
this.
happen because the big man, he's filming, he's not made his mind up what he's going to do.
Ben Davidson takes an even harsher stance. When he compares Jake's chances against Joshua, he refers to Francis Ngannou's defeat. Davidson points out that Ngannou, a far bigger and more natural heavyweight than Jake, couldn't withstand Joshua's power. He mentions how quickly Joshua dismantled Ngannou and says the difference between elite heavyweights and crossover fighters is simply too huge. If someone as massive and powerful as Ngannou couldn't last, Davidson says there is no realistic way to discuss Jake's chances. He says his point isn't meant to disrespect Jake, but to show how unrealistic the idea is when compared to real heavyweight standards. Spencer Oliver, on the other hand, views the situation from a more symbolic perspective while speaking with other analysts. He believes the matchup carries culture.
In terms of a fight, like, Francis Ngannou is one of the most durable men on the planet. And look at what happened there. I don't think it's good for boxing, if I'm honest.
I was about to ask, obviously, if we were to see that fight, AJ would be a heavy favourite with, I'd imagine, 99.9999% of the sport. How quickly would you expect to see Anthony Joshua get the job done against Jake Paul?
He could go in and do what he wanted. He could play with him if he wanted to.
Importance. Oliver argues that if Joshua accepts the fight, it could resemble moments from Muhammad Ali's era, when Ali took unconventional fights that attracted audiences far beyond traditional boxing fans. Oliver says this fight could create new marketing opportunities and draw millions who don't normally watch boxing. Even if the competition isn't balanced, the event would still generate enormous buzz. Oliver thinks Joshua taking such a risky and unusual fight shows how the sport is evolving, and it could give him massive exposure among younger audiences who follow influencers more than athletes. This could boost Joshua's overall star power and strengthen his legacy in the entertainment side of boxing. Joseph Parker, however, believes Joshua should remain focused on true heavyweight matchups if he wants to preserve his boxing career. He thinks Joshua belongs in meaningful fights, not influencer-driven spectacles. Parker argues that facing social media personalities offers nothing for Joshua's legacy, and that only legitimate opponents keep him relevant. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time.